All right, everyone, welcome to the second monthly Scarab Sessions on December 16th. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to go over a bunch of stuff. We got L2s, we got some future plans, and maybe a couple questions towards the end. Got a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to go over here. Zach's going to go over everything that's been going on and kind of get everyone up to speed. Zach?
Thanks, Johnny. We've been working hard trying to get this funding round closed, and actually, we've closed all the documents. Yeah, I guess we can start. Kind of the format I'd like to run here is the military education format of we're going to tell you what we're going to tell you, we're going to tell you, and then we're going to tell you what we told you. So hopefully we can keep these like nice and short and tight. And then if there's questions that people have that are just part of the community or things that have been written down in the past, we'll try to get to those and then do kind of a general discussion. Hopefully, again, we don't take too long. I like these to be very like concise. They're updates. This isn't an entertainment podcast. So I can get started. I say up top, DeFiCon NYC is happening this weekend. It's pretty cool. It seems like it's just going to be a local Brooklyn thing, but all the ticketing is in NFT based, which is pretty sweet. But we'll be there. Anyone who's in this chat, obviously, please come by, say hi. I think we're going to be doing a little dinner nearby as well. I think after the show on Saturday, but before the party, we'll have a nice little dinner somewhere nearby to the venue there in Bushwick. So please do come out to that. Say what up, and let's talk Sarco. Next, we have the funding round process or funding round progress. So like I said, we've closed that out in terms of all the documents and whatnot. Our goal was to raise $5 million. We've oversubscribed that to 5.795 million. And that is coming into the DAO as we speak. So actually just before this, I was on the phone with Inflection, who led this round. They just contributed their allocation. And we've got about 3 mil in the DAO right now. So they have until December 28th, about I think 9 a.m. EST to actually make the swap. So that's all looking good. All of the swap contracts are working. Just huge shout out to Decent Labs for getting all that together and also building contracts that other people can use, right? So if you were running a project and you want to raise some funding from sophisticated investors, we did all the work. We did all the research. We did the legal. And as long as your token is similar to what Sarcophagus is like, and as long as you're raising from accredited investors, we think it's a very good system, and we'd be happy to share that stack with anyone that's interested. So moving on, we'll announce the full investors once they've actually contributed. We want to make sure that we don't say that anyone has confirmed until the money is in the bank. It's kind of the only thing that we trust, and a very crypto attitude towards that. Next up is the testnet testing results. We put out a couple of tweets saying, we'll do some rewards for people that are testing Sarcophagus app on Rinkeby. Obviously, we had a huge effort from our side getting Rinkeby tokens, both Sarco tokens and Rinkeby Ethereum to the community to actually test the app. We actually ended up running out of Rinkeby Ethereum, which is very funny. Because there's nowhere to buy Rinkeby Ethereum, you have to will it into existence. I don't know. So maybe one of us will start a business that sells Rinkeby Ethereum and charges $5 on a credit card, and it would make all of our lives much easier. If anyone wants to do that, I will 100% help you. Going through the testing stuff, all the testnet stuff is published on Notion. I believe if you go to sarcophagus.io docs and then scroll all the way down, you can see the TypeScript testing documentation. I forget who put this together. Johnny, do we know who it was that did all this work?
Yeah, we kind of like conglomeratively brought it together for Miguel, and Miguel put it all together and put it on the Notion and did a superb job.
Love it. Yeah, this is gold. It doesn't look like we had any bot issues. I'm sure when the Ethereum and whatnot was getting distributed, there was some, but maybe Johnny, can you walk through kind of the extent of the farming or bot issues? This is kind of a big deal because I want to make sure that we, with the testing and initial incentives for Sarcophagus, that we make sure it's only people. But of course, that's really, really hard to do.
Definitely. The issue that we've had with bots, and I'm not sure how they're carrying it through. I even put out a tweet because I was like, "Hey, if you've got a bot that works with our tomb, come talk to us because
I
we
like that. I
we
like that.
we want to know. Like, we're not going to punish you for this. Like, if you've got a bot that can work with our tomb, like, hell yeah, get in here, talk to us." But the main thing that we saw was people are figuring out a way. I mean, they must be manually verifying them, but we've got at least one or two individuals who are coming in and doing probably 20 to 30 botted requests at a time for tokens, and they're pretty easy to spot. We've been skipping over them because their names are always very similar. Like, it's 2 words, exactly 2 words, short words, has no meaning, like the name is pointless. So we've been able to spot them, but we've probably had in the last week like 60 to 75 bots come in requesting tokens that we've had to kind of filter out. And like I said, they must be manually verifying these bot accounts because we have dual verification in our server now. You have to verify through the Discord server, and then you have to verify with our bot. So they're having to do a lot of work to get extra Rinkeby tokens. And like I said in the tweet, it's like, hey, you get all these extra tokens, great, but unless you've got a bot that can execute the actions for you, you're not going to be any better at testing. So yeah, that's basically it. Was we just had a lot of token requests that were bots, but I'm not sure how they're utilizing all those extra tokens, and they're not even getting them. But even if they did, like how they would use them would be intriguing to me.
Yeah, I think that's funny. We should. I'm wondering, can we put the Sarco token on an AMM on Rinkeby? Like,
Yes,
are
I've done it.
yeah,
I've done it.
nice. Okay, because that could be another way that we could just say, hey, if you have Rinkeby Ethereum, just go
Yes.
buy Rinkeby Sarcophagus here. That could work. Um,
Uniswap is on Rinkeby as well. Like, it has a full copy on Rinkeby. You can put up pools of Rinkeby ETH versus, Sarco, Rinkeby Sarco, and yeah.
Love it. Okay. Yeah, we can explore that as we do more testnet testing. Obviously, we want to get more into mainnet testing, but it's just expensive on the L1. So I
Hmm.
think it's best to prioritize the Rinkeby for now, and then once we push the results of the fixes of these tests to the L2s or to the L1, and then in turn to the L2s, we'll be able to do more incentivized testing. So a big part of this too is we want to figure out how much the testing behavior is worth, because we want to reward people for helping us build the software, but we don't want it to be taken up by bots, or we don't want it to be farmed. Um, so I'm just trying to figure out where we go from there. Like, do we reward each of the testers with 100 Sarco? Is that too much? Is 50 Sarco too much? Is it too little? And I think this kind of compiles down to something I've been thinking about a lot, which is the specific cost of Sybil resistance, like the individual specific cost. Is it, $60 is the kind of equivalent value of what a fairly sophisticated crypto Sybil resistance user is, or Sybil resistant user. I don't know, but I'm assuming it's probably somewhere between $25 and $100. We'll find out what that is. But yeah, just trying to ideate around what the testing behavior is worth for when we do reward them. Obviously, everything's going to be made in public and done retroactive, so it's not like there's going to be a huge earning potential here, but it's also not going to be gone unnoticed. We're making sure everyone gets rewards, but they're not going to be some 5-digit ENS style reward. Just not the way we do things here. So I guess is there any more stuff that we want to talk about the testing? Everyone can go through that stuff individually, and then obviously the devs are hard at work at fixing those edge cases and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Do we have
Anybody?
anything else there, Johnny? I don't think so.
No, that pretty well covers it. The Notion got everything, and just kind of next to the next step.
Perfect. Anyone else on the call here? I'm not sure how many people are on even.
Oh yeah, and anybody, you can raise your hand through the call, and then when we get to a spot where we can stop, we can address your hand being up.
Yeah, I just had one thing. When it came to the testing, we had a lot of testers come in, request tokens. But if you're just coming in and just requesting tokens to get a reward, that's something we're paying attention to. If you're not providing any feedback, that's something that we're also keeping in mind. If you don't provide feedback, if you are providing feedback, how you're providing that feedback, that's something we're going to take into account. Whether it's internally with Discord or it's outside of Discord where it comes to actual Sarco tokens, that's something that we want to pay attention to whenever we're dealing with any type of reward, which we're going to determine soon.
Perfect. And I think also the ideal scenario here is we're recruiting people to help us test this and rewarding them, but those people continue to be a part of the ecosystem and continue to be testers and
Mm-hmm.
users for future endeavors. I think a lot of times we just need people with like different setups and different wallets and different experiences to try something, because like I'm running Linux and running Chrome and MetaMask, but not everyone is. And I would love to know those edge cases, especially for kind of the deeper stuff, like someone who's coming out on a command line and trying to use this. So yeah, please keep help us testing, and please we want to hire everyone in the world, right? Like we want to hire anyone who gives a shit about Sarcophagus. Try to find more of those people. But so another thing that you guys have been doing on the Discord that I really like is the use case ideas. And I wanted to read one because I really like this one, and it's something I hadn't thought about, but it makes a lot of sense. So the use case contest, Johnny, can you talk about kind of the parameters of that, and then I'll read out this use case because I just think it's kind of a fun little thing.
Definitely. The use case contest idea, we wanted people to kind of get a little creative with it. And we thought this would be a really good way to incentivize direct knowledge of how it actually works by getting people to look at how it works and then incorporate that into a use case scenario like the story we have here. And the number of people that have put in stories has blown us away too. We've gotten so many. It's going to take us a while to read them all and go through them and then vote on the top 3. So definitely going to be a tough decision at the end, because there's so many people have come in and written these stories out about how it could possibly be used, and we're just blown away. It's been really good. And hopefully some of these stories, when it's done, we'll start reposting them in other places, maybe stick them in our Reddit and our Medium, some of the winners and whatnot, and just show people, hey, this is some of the possible ways you could use it. So it's been very productive.
Yeah, I'm very surprised by the quality of the results too. It's not just people trying to farm responses like we've got with some of the the translation bounties and whatnot. But so here's the one that that jumped out to me. So here's the case is Alejandro runs a logistics/delivery company. His company delivers high value commodities across different cities in Colombia. So one day his company got a consignment to make a delivery worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the only problem is that to get to the location for the drop, his truck would have to pass through a bandit-prone region. Delivery of the consignment will take an average 7-hour-long drive. Alejandro has attached an armed security operative to the driver of the truck and has installed a tracking device to the truck if anything goes wrong. The tracking device can be removed, and the armed security operative can be possibly overpowered. So to be more satisfied with precautions, so he wants to be more satisfied with precautions, so he sets a dead man switch for the driver to attest to every hour of the journey until the package is delivered. If anything goes wrong, the switch is flipped, and the company will immediately know that they need to send backup for recovery of the items. So I really like this use case just because it shows that there are certain instances where a high value shipment or something of extreme value could be protected with a couple $100 in Ethereum gas.
Yep.
I just love that it's independent, right? Like if you're ambushed on the road and you're held up, the people back home will know, right? They'll know that you're in trouble. They can call you, and if you don't answer, they'll for sure know you're in trouble. So it's not like the switch kicks off and dumps a private key onto the world and gives away hundreds of thousands of dollars. No, it's just a notification, but it's a notification that means a lot in terms of human lives and experience. So really, really like this one. I think one of the powers that we have above a lot of other crypto systems is that we tie human behavior into things rather than just a human interacting with a computer back and forth. We are making the computer do physical things as a result of what a human does. So yeah, really, really like that story. I would encourage everyone to submit ideas for the contest, and then we can hopefully reward a lot of people because this shit's getting very creative. So moving on to L2s. Currently, we had a bunch of bounties that we put out to get support on L2s. The idea was Sarcophagus tokens are always going to live on Ethereum layer 1. That's where all the investment activity, coordination activity takes place. But that doesn't mean that our app shouldn't work on every L2 that comes out. If it's EVM compatible, we should be playing with it. So we launched some bounties, and we got an instance of a Sarco token and a bridge for each of these networks. So that means you can take Sarco tokens from ERC20 and you can bridge them over to this network. And there's a place to swap them on that network. So if you are using Arbitrum and you have Arbitrum tokens, or you say you have whatever I forget what their denomination is called. If you say you have Matic on Polygon, you can swap those for Ethereum or swap those for Sarco, all within the Polygon ecosystem. So we're now live on Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon, Terra, BSC, and Solana. Obviously, Solana is not EVM compatible, but we just wanted to play with it. Coming up next is ZK Sync. If anyone knows the ZK Sync people, I'm having issues trying to get the token mapped. If anyone can do it, it's a 50 DAI fee. And it's permissionless, so you can just take the Sarco token and do a 50 DAI fee, and it should work. I can't get it to work, but if someone can push that through, I'll rebate your gas costs and fees, obviously. Avalanche, they do centralized listings and they won't respond to us, so whatever, fuck Avalanche. And then Boba, I mean, you have New York subway advertisements, but then you have devs trying to build on your system and you don't respond. It's idiotic.
Yeah, we've blown them up over the last week or two too, trying to get their attention.
It's not their game. I mean, their game is dumping on retail, and I think they're doing a really good job at it. I bet the software is good. I just wish we could use it. Next would be Boba. It looks like it's centralized listings, but they're very nascent, I think. I like the way they're doing things. And then finally, I want to add Aztec. Aztec just released some really cool shit. If you guys haven't looked into Aztec, it is a ZK roll up. Very cool team. They did ZK.money, or money, whatever the Ethereum Tumblr is. Very, 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 very deeply technical team that I love seeing stuff come out of. So that's pretty much it for the L2s. There's something that we need to do with these to fund liquidity, because if we want people to be able to buy Sarco tokens to use the application on, say, Optimism, we need to have some sort of liquidity on Optimism. So what will probably happen is we'll take some value from the DAO, we'll put it into a liquidity sub DAO, which I can get into in a second, and that liquidity sub DAO will then use the value to launch liquidity or to add more depth to the liquidity on, say, Polygon or Terra, BSC. We'll be voting for the weights of these. Like if we have $100,000 to put towards liquidity, should we just put it all in Polygon, or should we split it between Arbitrum and Polygon and ZK Sync? I don't know. We'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it. Cool thing is the L2s don't really need a lot of liquidity. It's just enough to use the app. So since all investment activity is taking place on L1, we don't really have to have a huge amount of liquidity on L2. So kind of, I'm going to skip over a section here in my agenda, but going on to sub DAOs, we've got the Sarco-Pay sub DAO working. It's like a payroll DAO. Still ironing out some stuff there in terms of like getting in the rhythm of saying we're doing all the votes and transactions on the 15th of every month. But it's working. Like, it is actually working. We have the ability for investors to delegate their payroll credential, meaning if you own a ton of Sarco tokens, you should be using a hardware app or a hardware wallet. But these votes are small, and getting a hardware wallet out and into your whole security system is annoying. So why not just have another token that is the credential that you can send to your intern or someone who can look at these votes and make a quick decision on a hot wallet, because the value of Sarco-Pay is directly proportional to how many tokens are in existence and the amount of money in the payroll DAO. The amount of money in the payroll DAO is less than $100,000, so it's very low risk account, or very high risk, low value account. Let's see, liquidity sub DAO, I was talking about it a little bit. We want to do something to where our DAO owns all of our liquidity. Renting it is not a good idea anymore. I think it's good to get started, but we need to find a way to do perpetual or internally funded liquidity. That could just be using our value and owning our own LP tokens. It could be an OHM style bond. Lot of options here, but in short, we need to own our own liquidity and not rent it, because the renting will end in I think May is when our liquidity farming initiative ends. So I don't want to restart that. I don't want to just pay people to have liquidity. I think we should do it ourselves. So something I'm very interested in, kind of moving on to Q1 of next year and kind of the future of Sarcophagus for the immediate right now. One, I think everyone should fuck off for Christmas and New Year's and have fun and do whatever you want. It's not any of, obviously, Sarcophagus business, but I think the holidays are a time when it's good to just kind of leave work for a minute and then, come back harder in January. But what I'm thinking is early in Q1, we do an in-person meeting. The idea or the goal of that meeting is to fully architect version 2 of Sarcophagus in person. And then the idea would be we come in knowing the features we want to have, and then we leave having an execution plan, including finances and timelines. I think it would be really cool to do this somewhere in the southern United States because it's winter, somewhere that's not Miami, just because we want to be working. Sorry, no offense to all the decent people in Miami, decent labs people in Miami. I'm thinking Jackal Island at the Jackal Island Club Resort, which is a very very interesting place in terms of financial history. So it was the place where in 1910 they planned the Federal Reserve. So here's a quote from Forbes, the Forbes magazine founder. Picture a party of the nation's greatest bankers stealing out of New York on a private railroad car under the cover of darkness, stealthily riding hundreds of miles south, embarking on a mysterious launch, sneaking into an island deserted by all but a few servants, living there a full week under such rigid secrecy that the names of not one of them was once mentioned, lest the servants learn the identity and disclose the world's strangest, most secret expedition in the history of American finance. I'm not romancing. I'm giving to the world, for the first time, the real story of the famous Aldrich currency report and the foundation of our new currency system. So I think there's a lot of history there. I think it's a cool place. It's like an hour from Jacksonville. I think it's really easy to get into. So I'm thinking sometime like Thursday through Sunday in mid-January. We can coordinate there, but I want to make sure everyone who has the wherewithal that would be beneficial to the conversation is invited. Obviously, we'll be covering trips for a lot of people, but if you would like to come to this, we'd love to have you contribute to the conversation. Obviously, there's going to be some logistics to take care of, but I'm floating the idea from a logistics standpoint of like getting people to Jacksonville and then getting them to the hotel should be very easy. The hotel's super cheap right now. Just get a big block of rooms in a conference room, and it's beautiful. I mean, Jackal Island is supposed to be a very beautiful part of Georgia. So keep that in everyone's mind. We'll have more about that, and then people that we can sponsor to come, and like people that are just invited, whatever. It's gonna be small, but more of a working session than anything else. Speaking of people, sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, I was gonna say I'll have to add the second Jekyll Island meeting to my timeline.
Yep. It's I'm excited for this. I think there's something to be said about having meetings in places that have been historic. Like I've always wanted to do a crypto conference at the Bretton Woods in New Hampshire. It's a beautiful Victorian hotel. It's literally where the new monetary system post World War II was architected. And I think if we go into those places, like one, it's better than the Airport Hilton for sure. Two, like it's just interesting. It's a beautiful old hotel, and it can have some inspiration that's is greater than just making money. It's like, hey, people actually did sit down and try to decide this shit at one time, and it fully shaped the world from then on. So moving on to people, more people that we've had come on. I think USC Miguel coming on as the scribe role to take care of just making sure that we get down everything that we should, so we can be truly open source. There's a difference between being open source in a way that we're putting all of our code on the internet for everyone under unlicensed, but then there's open source and telling everyone what we do and showing the work. We're showing everyone, like, this podcast is public. This is not there's no secret agendas here. All of our data is completely public. So Migs is going to be helping out with that. And then we've got someone named Ross, who's, I think, coming on to do business development. We're, in discussions there. We just got to make sure we prime that for success in terms of the CRM we're going to use. Really think that we should do an open source CRM to do things like interviewing will and trust attorneys or Colombian package delivery companies, right? So we want to do research, but we want it to be in the open. So we're architecting that role. But I think Ross is going to be a great addition. I think we found him on Twitter, came into the DAO, which is happening more and more. So that's kind of people we filled roles of. And then new roles open is everything you can think of. If you have something to add to Sarcophagus, we would love to have a proposal. Again, this is more of a look at our project and see what you could do and propose that you do it for money. And we will likely accept the proposal if it makes sense. And you seem like the right person to do it. There's no reason why we can't try new things. And if something doesn't work out, we just don't renew the proposal. It's the end of it. No hard feelings. Next thing that we very much do need is PR. We need a public relations expert, but we need a crypto native public relations expert. We need someone that will do a proposal in the DAO and get paid in Sarco tokens. And I think even if we're hand-holding them through the process of getting on Discord and making a proposal for their services onto the DAO, and helping them say get Sarco tokens from the contract into their bank account, like we pay them in Sarco and they're liquidating that and then selling, and then they're paying their employees with it. I think even if we do that, even if we handhold them through the whole process, it'll still be better than going to a PR firm and just paying them cash. I think we need to have the bar be a little bit higher. I've had very bad experiences with PR firms in the past, but I think if we can find a crypto native one that is actually in the community, they can do very, very good for us. And that's a good contract too. $5-10 a month for whoever's doing that. If you have a PR firm or know someone that does, we would love a proposal. We need that. We need to mix a little bit of the old PR style in with the new community-driven style of crypto. So that's kind of all I have here. But in true fashion, we're going to tell you what we tell you what we're going to tell you. We're going to tell you and tell you what we told you. So what we told you was DeFiCon NYC this weekend. Should be a quick show. It's at Elsewhere, which is a fun club too. Big party, whatever. Funding round progress. Like I said, we've got a oversubscribed round totaling 5.7 million. We've got 3 million that's been committed. Testnet app testing went really well. We've got a bunch of new data and new stuff to work with. Really fun use case of Colombian delivery drivers protecting themselves with the Sarcophagus. We are live on several L2s, and we are actively soliciting ideas for which one to prioritize and which ones to add liquidity to. Q1 IRL plans would be going to Jackal Island with a group of people and then doing a work session from, say, Thursday to Sunday in mid to late January. Obviously, Jackal Island has a lot of historical significance. New roles, we've got a couple people that came in, more new roles open, and that's all I've got. So any questions or discussion that we want to move forward with, I will be here for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. If anybody's got any questions to ask, now's the time. I don't see any hands.
Nice. All right. Well, either no one cares or I'm extremely concise in explaining things.
We'll go with the latter.
Yeah, let's do that for my ego. So yeah, well, thanks everyone. Again, trying to keep this short. If there's anything else, please let me know. I will try to get, I think all the information we talked about is completely public, but I will put more about the Jackal Island idea. And yeah, just hit me up and hit up Johnny. Obviously, we're around to answer any questions post this, and we will be putting this on Permacast. Permacast is fucking awesome, and Permacast pushes to Spotify and Apple and whatnot. So thank you to everyone on the call, and thank you to everyone who helped make this possible. Johnny, Crypto Sherry, like I really do appreciate you guys getting this all recorded and distributed.
No problem, man. Happy to get this out there because not everybody shows up in Discord, unfortunately.
including me. It's too much. It's too much to keep track of. But all right. Well, thank you, everyone, and I will talk to you next month.
All right, man. Talk to you next month.